is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. Be sure to visit us at miamisportsmusic.com/podcast. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Miami Sports Music. Now sit back, relax on whatever listening device you are on, and enjoy the Miami Sports Music Show.
Dolphin for life. I don't like no other team. Aqua orange wardrobe. That's my favorite color scheme. But a little too hype on Miami sports music today. My bad. No such thing. You can't be too hype on Miami sports music. DWA. What up? Fins up. That's what's up. Fins up. Oh, wait. I'm going to start saying what's up. It's just fins up. Especially to y'all. But hey, we're going to talk about a couple things today. We're going to have some show and tell. But I want to dead some more of these rumors. I want to talk a little bit about free agency, stuff like that. But first things first, I need y'all to leave my man alone. You know who I'm talking about when I say, oh man, I put my jersey on today for a reason, right? Like for those of you that were in the Marines, or really anyone who's just seen Full Metal Jacket, that's Stanley Kubrick. Like, this is my quarterback. There are many like him, but this one is mine. Without my quarterback, I am nothing. Without me, my quarterback is nothing. That last part, maybe not so true, but whatever. Leave my boy alone. I'm tired of all these rumors. I'm tired of all the not. Like, it started with the Sean Watson stuff, and some of you guys are trying to keep alive. God knows why. I don't know why. Like, it's going on now with this Devonte Smith thing that just happened a couple days ago. Right? By the way, I drink Coors because I live in Colorado. Like, they're not sponsoring me or nothing. I wish. But if anybody knows somebody, like, holler at your boy. Right? I'm going to start an ad campaign. But the new thing, for those of you not paying attention, Devonta Smith was interviewed a couple days ago. And basically the way to explain it is, they asked, would you rather have Tua or Mac Jones? For those of you that ain't big college guys, well, hopefully you know who Devonta Smith is. Devonta Smith is a wide receiver from Alabama, just won the Heisman, first wide receiver since Desmond Howard to win the Heisman. But a lot of people are rumoring him to be the Dolphins draft pick at 3. I don't really know how you can possibly be watching this video if you don't know that, but whatever. I always try to get backstory. So Mac Jones is the quarterback that played with him this year, that took over at Alabama for Tua. A lot of people consider him maybe a mid-second round pick. So first things first. Last year, Jerry Jeudy was the number 1. Jalen Waddle was the number 2. Jalen Waddle was hurt a lot of this year, for those of you guys that don't remember. Right? Like, Smith got way more targets, way more production. He was the number 1 guy in the offense with Mac Jones. Like, it makes sense that he would say something like that. And it's his boy. Like, he's trying to help him get drafted. He's trying to get a stock value. Ain't nothing he can say hurt to him right now, except in some of these idiot Dolphins' minds, but need a hit on that. So, who cares? I don't care what Devonta Smith has to say. He's not the number 1 receiver in this draft. He may not even be the number 2 receiver, if we're being quite honest. Like, Jamar Chase is way better. I've already covered that. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like these rumors, man, y'all keep going with this stuff, y'all. Like it's crazy. And there's a certain reporter, I'm not going to say his name, but I think y'all know who we are. His initials are AS, and he always claims to have this inside scoop. Same fool that last year told us Xavier Howard was going to be cut or traded less than 6 months after he signed a massive deal with the Dolphins. Like this guy's a whatever. But like, Dolphins fans, hear me now. Until something actually happens, y'all need to chill on all these rumors, right? Tua's my boy. He's our quarterback. Until Flores and or Greer say otherwise. And I believe, for those of y'all that have been paying attention, they both already said he is our quarterback moving forward this year. So until that changes, dead, cayete, right? Moving on. I'm trying to be a little less negative, but no, I'm not. I'm lying. But I want to say something to all these people that had all these rumors and stuff, you know, all this nonsense. They keep talking, oh, I heard this, I heard that. Like, this is a book by Alan Moore called The Watchmen, right? probably the greatest graphic novel ever written. There was an amazing Zack Snyder movie made about this book in 2001. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing. It's really amazing that you're a grown-up watching this and haven't seen The Watchmen. It's absolutely incredible. To show you what an amazing film it is, I actually have a tattoo. Where's Shaq from The Watchmen? Over here. HBO recently did well, they did one season so far, I don't know, but they did a show based on like kind of the continuation universe, whatever it is. But there's a famous scene in the movie where they're spray painting on some glass windows. Who watches The Watchmen, right? And what they're trying to imply is that these superheroes are like kind of unchecked by the government, like they're supposed to be protecting us, but who's keeping them in check. That phrase, however, is misused. So it actually comes from a Shakespeare play. I want to say it's Macbeth, but I don't remember. I'm an idiot, man. I'll drop out. But they used it, right, talking about there was a girl who was essentially a massive slut, right, that they tried to keep locked away. She might have been a queen or something, I don't know. But they tried to keep her locked away in the dungeon, right, and they sent guards to watch her. And the phrase, who watches the Watchmen, came from, well, who's going to protect the guards from this girl? The guards are supposed to be protecting her from everybody else, but who's going to protect them from her? Right, and that's kind of how I feel with all this, man. With all these, like, who's going to protect us real Doll fans from these Doll fans with too much time on their hands and bad attitudes? Because that's what we're dealing with right now. Like all these people that are super negative on the team we have, all these people that have this post-traumatic, like there was that term floating around in the political world. I don't want to get political with y'all, but there was that term Trump derangement syndrome. Y'all got like Marino withdrawal syndrome. Like, if Tua don't come out and make the all-pro team and throw for 50 touchdowns and no interceptions, and every single pass isn't a perfect bullet to the end zone, like, y'all want to just move on to the next guy. Y'all did it with Tannehill. Y'all doing it right now with Tua. We ain't really having much else between those two time frames, whatever. Like, if y'all did it with Chad Henne, good. But the point is, y'all just chill. Nothing's changing. There's not a new quarterback coming. Not this season, probably not next season, right? If Tua struggles, he'll get coached up, he'll find his own, right? If he just straight out sucks over the next couple of years, then we'll move on to 2 seasons, whatever it is. But, like, y'all need to just chill, man. Like, ain't nothing going to happen with Tua. Like, relax, all right? We're still over 60 days away from the draft, all right? Let's focus here. League year started today. Franchise tag, technically franchise tags can start today. The Dolphins don't really have a candidate, like, if I'm being honest. Looking across the team, all the real core players and players that we need, they're all kind of locked up, especially with the Jason Sanders signing, which I talked about here last week. But outside of that, there's not really any core players that we want to keep around that are worth a tag. The one guy that comes to mind as a guy that we don't really have a replacement for is probably Ted Karras. But I imagine we'll re-sign him. I mean, especially fairly cheap, too. He's not worth offensive lineman franchise tag money for sure. And honestly, I hope to upgrade from him a little bit. So we'll talk. We'll get into that. But that's all that. All that for today, right? Dead to rumors, dead to noise. Tua's our boy, Tunga Valoa. Learn how to say it if you didn't already. Tua, we with you, kid. That being said, now I'm going to say rumor because I'm full of contradictions, right? So the breaking rumor today, y'all ready? There's a player who fits a position of need, who's been pretty good over the last couple of years, who apparently him and the Dolphins have mutual interest. Anybody? Guess? I'll give you 3 seconds while I drink my beer. Time's up. Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packers running back. So Aaron Jones has 4 years in the league. Over that time, he's been solid. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry. Not really a lot of injuries, which is, good. And that's good in general. But when you're playing an outdoor frozen tundra, Green Bay, my favorite stadium in the NFL, by the way, we were lucky enough to go a couple of years ago. It's tough. It's tough to say that. So he's averaged over 5 yards a carry. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I want to say it's around like 5.2 or 5.5 during that time. Sure hands. The kid can block. He's a good combo running back, right? Like, he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the biggest guy in the world. But he's pretty big and he's pretty fast. He doesn't have the best hands in the world, but his hands are pretty good. He can run people over. He can make people miss. Look, if we're being real, he's a guy I'd love to have, right? So I guess we're going to kind of dive into a free agency profile right here. But Aaron Jones is a guy we'd love to have on the Dolphins. The problem, not really with Aaron Jones, but just kind of with the position, is running back money is weird, man. Like a couple years ago, some of these guys got big deals, like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook. And it's hard to justify paying a running back because historically, at least if you look over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the guys that get paid do kind of like what Bitcoin did today, right? So Kamara may be the exception here, but Dalvin Cook's been injury prone. You look at the guys before him that got paid, like Coleman did absolutely nothing, got cut from the team. Todd Gurley, who I loved, man, like I said, he was a beast. He was an old school, true, hard-nosed running back, dude, like we used to have. Like, you know, he had some knee issues. It sucks, you know. Running back's weird because you don't want to overpay them because they have a short shelf life, but because they have a short shelf life, some of these guys want to cash in when they can, which may be Aaron Jones' situation. It may and it may not. Like I don't know anything about him personally to know kind of what his preferences would be towards, but I got to imagine like that no state income tax in Florida. Again, I probably have said this before, but I'll say it again for those of you guys that don't like listen religiously. But like a long time ago now, it seems like it was really like 7 or 8 years ago, we signed Mike Wallace. And Mike Wallace had an offer on the table from the Minnesota Vikings and us. And it turned out that, like, based on the pay scale, he would have needed to make almost $1 million more a year in Minnesota to bring home the same amount of money because of the state income tax differences. So that's a really big thing. Something that, like, I don't think a lot of people understand. You know, and there's some people that love, like, the South Beach lifestyle. I personally am one of them. I have a lot of fun on South Beach. You see me there wilding out, mind your business. But I can't live in Miami full time. So I don't know what his, like, personal preferences there. I can't tell you, like, if I was him, I would want to get paid, but you know, he may understand, like, hey, you know, a chance to prolong my career, a chance to be on a winning team, a chance to make some more money in the income tax thing. I don't know. What I don't want to do is overpay for him. And I really mean that. Like, yo, 8, 9 mil a year, like, let's talk, you know. And that's even kind of on the high side of what I'd like to pay. But you start getting up to some of these running back numbers, like 12, 13, 14, 15, like, I'm sorry, bro, we can't do it. You know, before we make any additional moves, we're sitting at right around 28 mil in cap space before the draft class, before anybody else. Like, you know, I would love to have him, and you're probably gonna, if you don't already know, like, hear enough from me about fixing the running game more than maybe any other person you're gonna see on the Miami Sports Music website talking about this. Like, you know, holler at TD. You know, I was bashing Kalen Ballage a year ago. Holler at Jamie. Holler at all these dudes. Like, the running game, man, that's what it is. Like, that's what old school football is. That's how you win in the playoffs. That's how you win on the road. You run the ball, you control the clock, you grind. And that ain't something we can do right now. So, Aaron, I love you, bro. I'd love to have you. Work with me, man. Not with me, work with Greer, but, you know, work with us. Work with the fan base. I'm sure you look good in Aquaman Orange, my man. He already got that Haitian Miami haircut. You know what I'm talking about. But we'll see. We'll see. I'd love to have him. Don't want to overpay for him. That's kind of my thought there. And we'll talk a lot more about running backs when it comes closer to draft time, because I'm actually changing my opinion a little bit on the running backs that I'm kind of falling in love with here and there. But anyway, so that's running back number 1 on the free agent profile, Aaron Jones. And that's not really news to anybody. He's the best running back that's probably going to be available in free agency. It's all with Miami going to depend on what kind of dollar amount he commands. So the number 2 guy, and this is probably honestly going to be the last guy that I even talk about when it comes to this, just because I don't want to dive super into it. What up, puppy, girl? Everybody, come say hi to the puppy. I told y'all it's going to be show and tell today, right? Pit bulls everywhere. The next guy I really want to talk about is Marlon Mack. So for those you don't know, Marlon Mack's rookie contract is up. Marlon Mack was a running back with the Indianapolis Colts. He only played 1 game last year. I hate saying it. I got to work on that. Somebody call me out. But he only played 1 game last year for an injury. Right now, their backup running back, Nyheim Hines, kind of took over his role. And then a guy I was super high on in the draft last year coming out of Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor, really came into his own. So Taylor is more of a hybrid, like he's a big guy, but he can run. A lot of pass catching skills and stuff like that. That's kind of how they used the two of them last year, right? So Taylor was kind of like it wasn't exactly 50-50, but he was splitting his time between catching and carrying. Naheem Hines, mostly carrying, a little bit of catching, right? You always got to keep the defense honest. But there's really, Marlon Mack's just kind of the odd man out in the backfield because these other two guys are young and cheap, right? And Marlon Mack was young and cheap up until right now. So I'm super interested in Marlon Mack. 4.4 yards a carry doesn't scream amazing over his career, but you got to remember the Colts couldn't throw the ball. I mean, even last year they couldn't throw the ball to Phillip Rivers, but they haven't really been able to throw the ball for most of Marlon Mack's career, right? So that leaves defenses the opportunity to just kind of stack the box. It's going to skew those numbers a little bit, and I want to make this very clear. The reason I like Marlon Mack is because of probably 3 or 4 things. So the first and most important one is his skill set is very different from Myles Gaskin. And I know before you drop the mic and turn this video off here, you get like Myles Gaskin, like, hey, hear me out. Here we're going with this. I truly believe Miami's going to draft a running back high. I don't know if it's going to be at 18, right? But there's a possibility of trading down from 18. There's a possibility of moving back into the first, or there's even a possibility at, the 4th pick in the 2nd round going running back. Marlon Mack having the between the tackle ability, Gaskin having that 3rd down back ability. If he can run, he can catch, he can block. He's not necessarily amazing at any of those things, but he's solid at all of them. And a true number 1 running back coming out of the draft, and we're going to talk about this later, but whether that's Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, or the guy I'm really starting to love, Javonte Williams, I think that's a very solid backfield, especially when you consider the different skill sets. On top of that, Marlon Mack, due to the injury last year, right, due to the fact that his career numbers aren't absolutely spectacular, is going to be cheap. I like cheap, right? Especially if he's good at one thing and very good at one thing. This is kind of the Patriot way. You're going to see, I talk about a lot that Flores brought here. Instead of spending $15, $16, $20 million a year on a guy that can just rush the passer very well and sucks against the run, we could have 2 $5 million guys. One's good at rushing a passer, one's good at playing a run. Bring one on the field in the situation you need him, etc. It's going to be kind of the same deal with Marlon Mack. Like we bring Marlon Mack in. Marlon Mack is what they call a 2-down back, in my opinion. So what that means is 1st and 2nd down, Marlon Mack's on the field. Now, don't get too confused with the verbiage if you don't understand that. If you're not a big X's and O's guy, it doesn't mean he can't be on the field on 3rd down ever, right? But what it means is if it's 3rd and 7. Right, he's probably not going to be on the field because on 3rd and 7, a running back is either running a route to catch a pass or staying in to block whoever gets around to the quarterback, right? Right now, Gaskin, depending on who we draft, right, has that role. So, Gaskin's a guy that can fake the block, slip out, catch a screen, do all this wonderful stuff, right? But I don't want Gaskin running behind the center trying to convert, 4th and 2 when we need to convert that pile, which sometimes we did well last year, sometimes we didn't, right? Marlon Mack's the guy I want there. I want Marlon Mack running between the tackles, forward, 1 cut maybe, if you're familiar with that term, right? I don't want him running these crazy screen routes. I don't want him trying to run a stretch route, which is essentially where a running back gets the ball, right from the quarterback and tries to get all the way outside to the sideline. That's not what we need him for. So I don't want to dive too much into the running back carousel because there's also, after those two guys, there's a bunch of type of players. I mean, some that are solid, some that are not so much, but, a lot of guys trying to revive their careers. I personally don't think that ever works. For all that, we can draft our main guy and then draft another guy in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever it is. So that's the start of the running back. Well, let's start now and I'll say the running back for each. What I really want to talk about today is, for those of you guys that heard me last week, we talked about Allen Robinson a lot. We talked about the receiver pool, right? And I mentioned that Allen Robinson was my number 2 free agency target this year. Here's my number 1. And the reason I phrase it like this with kind of a sigh before is there's no way Miami affords both, at least not in the current situation. Maybe there's some restructuring, we can do cuts, whatever. But I know there's no way we're going to get both these guys. And the reason I went with receivers and talked about Allen Robinson first is because you fans are out of your freaking minds and you're drooling over a receiver who's not even the best receiver in the draft and think we should take him higher than any receivers in drafted in the last decade, Devonta Smith. So, number one, Miami Dolphins free agent target this year, Tyrann Mathieu. I hope I'm saying the kid's name right, man. I've been struggling with that for years. But Tyrann Mathieu, number one guy. It's funny because my number one target last year was also a Chief, Chris Jones. Chris Jones ended up staying with the team. Went to the Super Bowl this year, lost, didn't win. I said won, but whatever. So Tyrann. Notice I'm calling him Tyrann, not Honey Badger. It's the dumbest nickname I've ever heard. Y'all keep it to yourselves. If he comes here as a Dolphin, I don't want to hear none of that honey crap. Call him Tyrann. That's his name. His mama called him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay to get the reference. But anyway, if you watch the Super Bowl this year, the guy was clearly pissed off. He was mad at the team. He was losing his mind. He was yelling at players. He knows that defense is not what it should be. With the money they invested, with the talent they invested, he knows it ain't right. He's leaving. They're in cap casualty situations. Like their money ain't good. Their money situation ain't good over there. He's out, right? Now, why do I want a strong safety? Well, who's our strong safeties on the roster? Number one, Eric Rowe. The fact that I have to keep talking after I say Eric Rowe it should be enough, but whatever. Here we are. We also brought in Kamal Grugier Hill, however you want to say it, last year. And if you're scratching your head right now going, but he's a linebacker. If you actually watched the games, in a lot of our packages, he actually lined up in that hybrid linebacker strong safety position, similar to like a Mark Barron, if you're familiar with the Rams. After Tampa drafted him high and they traded him. There's a reason we don't got a lot of depth there. I mean, we brought over, I guess, still can't say his name, but Clay Federline, Clay. Mama called him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. From the Bengals last year, right? If you're not super familiar with the roster, he's the guy that converted the fake punt for the huge gain. I want to say it was against the Raiders, maybe. Raiders, I think, yeah. Number 42, I think he wears. But who cares? The point is this, right, is that we got absolutely abused on defense by only two things last year. And those two things were tight ends. And if you don't think I'm right there, go back and watch Travis Kelce when we played the Chiefs. Go back and watch Darren Waller when we played the Raiders. Darren Waller is probably the best example of how Eric Rowe just got absolutely humiliated. I mean, there was a few over the games we played, right? Kyle Pitts is going to be a top pick this year. There's a good chance he goes to a team that has to play us a couple times a year. These tight ends are getting better and better. It's a mismatch. For every single time you praise our boy from Penn State, Mike Gesicki, just remember, anything he does to the other team, that team is doing back to us from the same position. If you go back and watch the tape of Eric Rowe, he's trying his best. It's not for lack of heart. It's not for lack of trying. It's lack of size, strength, speed. He's older. He's been around the league. He was a Patriot for a while. I know he's not ancient in comparison to some other players out there, but just he's not getting it done. And when I see a player like Tyrann Mathieu, who's exceptional at his position, is he Budda Baker? No. Is he the next best thing that's available? Absolutely. The kid has heart. He's always near the football. He's grinding, he's working, he's busting heads, he's running down the field. He can play man, he can play zone, he can play in the box, he can blitz. I don't know what kind of money he's looking for, which is one thing that's going to throw me off, especially after Budda Baker just signed that ridiculous deal. Strangely enough, another guy I've been thinking about here, and I don't know if he'd be available, but Derwin James. I know Florida State, for all you Gator fans, before I start hearing it, Derwin James was a top pick a couple years ago for the Chargers, and when he's on the field, he's been absolutely amazing, but he hasn't been on the field a lot. So I'm curious to see if they'd be willing to move on from him, especially because with that injury history, I don't know what the fifth-year option plan is out there, and they're not necessarily stacked with cash either. But as of now, he's not available, so it is what it is. So not only is Tyrann the best strong safety, he's one of the few playmakers who's going to be available on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, I know J.J. Watt and some other guys, but Tyrann's a guy that is not only going to be available, but he has heart. He wants the ball. He's aggressive, and he fits a position in need. You know, and we're going to talk a little bit more again when we get to the draft about some of the safeties that are available. I know Morig's there and all these other guys, but as of now, the one player that I think could come to Miami, make an immediate difference in a place that we really need an immediate difference made, and potentially take us to the next level, is Tyron. I'm gonna give that time to soak in. I know you guys are probably mad at me. A lot of people hate him, the all-field attitude, whatever. I don't care about none of that. Like, I really don't. Like, you'll learn that more. You watch some more of these videos. Like, what they do off the field is their business. And to be honest with you, his off-the-field stuff hasn't even been nothing crazy. I mean, I know he had to think of college, but after that, like, he's been in the league a few years now. But this is a guy that can help us cover tight ends. He can help us cover running backs out of the backfield. When we need a play, they talk about, like, you have plays designed for the team you're playing against, and you have plays designed for the players that you have. Like, sometimes you don't draw up an X's and O's play, you draw up a we need that guy involved play, right? He's that guy. And I don't know if there's another guy like him that fits that build, especially, again, at a position of need, that we can get this year. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of free agency. Like, yes, I want to upgrade center. Yes, I want to upgrade running back. Yes, I'd be open to upgrading receiver at the right price. But to me, and while we're here, middle linebacker across from Jerome Baker. Remember, we play a 3-4. There's two middle linebackers in there. But Tyrann Mathieu, number one target. He's the guy. We need him. He can be a fiery guy on defense. He can be a guy that hypes our team up. He can be the guy that makes plays. If you want to throw him at the quarterback, do it. If you want to put him back as a safety net in a crazy formation, do it. If you want to line him up one-on-one with the best tight ends in the game, he's going to ask you for that. He's not going to be pissed off that you did it. He's not going to be like, oh, whatever, it's my job. He's going to go, Coach, Flores, please. That's George Kittle. That's Darren Waller. That's Noah Fant. That's TJ Hawkinson. I don't know who we play this year. Whatever, pick a tight end. Doesn't matter. He wants to be there, right? These running backs that are good at catching the ball out of the backfield. We got a couple of them on the lineup this year, right? We're playing, if I'm correct, we're playing Christian McCaffrey. We're playing Alvin Kamara. We're playing a couple of these speed demons, right? Like, he wants to go get them guys. I mean, look, we're playing Derrick Henry. Now, I'm never going to ask a safety to be able to handle Derrick Henry, but he's going to ask for a chance. I don't think we should give it to him. Derrick Henry's he's a bad dude. He's something I can't say on camera with the Miami Sports Music team. But yeah. So anyway, Tyrann Mathieu, number one free agent target. Fins up. Love y'all. Hey, I don't think I ever shared this with y'all, but I want to show something real quick. So this is, my girl made this for Christmas. Not this last one, the year before. So the Deep End family. You got all your favorite hardcore doll fans in there. You got Gorilla Luke. You got Strike, Chucky, the Finheads. Of course, my man Solo D, Miami Sports Music, Finn Sticky. Yours truly. You know, unfortunately, our boy that we lost, our boy great Jay Villa, unfortunately, he took his own life just before the start of, not this past season, but the one before. Jay, we love you, brother. Miss you every day, you know. We're keeping the attitude going in your honor. But I told you I was going to be showing Teller today, right? But anyway, man, fins up. Love y'all. We'll be back here next week. Hopefully going to be some new news by then. You know, free agency's about to kick off. What I would love to see is some Dolphins fans rallying up, ready to go to Cleveland, ready to scream and get loud in this draft. Oh, one more thing. I don't have the info on this yet, but hopefully I have it for you next week. So there was a fan that attended the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. And said fan, let's just say acquired, one of the cardboard cutouts of the audience member they had. It was a soldier who I believe is deployed overseas right now. Sent in a picture of him wearing some Fins gear. And the NFL was cool enough to make a cardboard cutout of it and put it in the stadium for the Super Bowl. So this fan, I ain't no snitch, but this guy acquired it. Right? How isn't important. And he is actively trying to find the soldier in order to return this thing to him. So I'm going to try to get some of the info. We'll talk about it a little more next week here. But if anybody has a friend, family member, whatever that's seeing this, that knows of a soldier who had his picture used for a cardboard cutout for the Super Bowl, please holler at me. Holler at Miami Sports Music. We're trying to track this guy down and give it to him. I think it'd be an awesome gift. You know, we love the troops over here. So, hey, that being said, love y'all. Fins up. Check out all the other Miami sports music shows you have. I mean, there's so much, man. 305 Sports. You got Jamie Bahamas. You got TD Fins Talk. You got Dudley Do Wrong. You know, you're going to see some stuff from Stephen D. You know, I'm probably missing a bunch just because there's so many. We are also going to be looking at doing a pretty cool live show here in the next coming weeks. More info on that to come. I don't want to kind of spoil it, but just look out. We're going to have some really cool stuff coming. I'm trying to entertain y'all in the off season, man. Y'all need something to do on a Sunday. You might as well sit here and listen to me. So, hey, that being said, apologize for the lack of a background here. We're still under construction here in the studio, but we're going to be up and running soon. Much better video quality, decorations, all that wonderful stuff. If y'all could please, as always, I don't want to be one of them dudes, but hit all the links and stuff down there. Follow, like, subscribe, share. Hit up Miami Sports Music. Buy some DWA gear. This is the What Would Shula Do podcast. Follow the link. Buy some What Would Shula Do gear. We love and appreciate you guys. I mean, hell, drink some Coors beer. That's what I do, man. But hey, fins up. Peace.